house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 21 updates and spoilers. Our house guests of the day are Kamani McGee, Kirk Zimfer, and Night of Light. Thank you all so much for the support. We could not do this without you, so we super appreciate it. And thank you again. If you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. All right, I want to wish everybody a happy Labor Day, and if you're a Yankee fan like I am, happy Glaber Day. When we left off yesterday, Jackson and Holly were a mess. If you want to hear all about their fighting, check out yesterday's spoiler where I broke it down. But while they were fighting, if you could even call it that, I feel like it was more Jackson talking down to Holly and Holly being like, oh, I'm so sorry, take me back, oh, don't leave me. It was really sad. While that was happening, Nicole and Tommy were comparing notes, and they essentially confirmed that Jackson and Holly are playing the middle right now and trying to get Nicole and Cliff to go after Christy and Tommy, and vice versa. They don't like that. So Tommy and Christy were chatting in the backyard, and it was hard to hear Christy because she was in the pool at the time. She wasn't wearing her mic. And Tommy says, okay, I was talking to Nicole last night, and it came out that Jackson and Holly are working with both sides. So Christy and Tommy, they're not gonna like blow up on Jackson and Holly and make it this huge thing. They're gonna keep it to themselves right now. Maybe try and set something up with Nicole and Cliff, and then target Jackson and Holly if they win HOH. So Tommy is very excited moving forward, because before he was like, are we like on the outs here? What's going on? Like, are we gonna be the next target? So knowing what's actually happening here now, Tommy feels a lot better. And he feels like they can take out Jackson. They definitely want to target Jackson before Holly. So Tommy says he does believe that Jackson doesn't want Christy to go this week, but he's not gonna risk leaving her up on the block because anything could happen, you never know, and he doesn't trust Jackson that much. So he is going to be using the power beat on Christy. Duh. Okay, so then Holly and Jackson were chatting in the camping bedroom, and she's like, oh, I feel a lot better today. She says she's really annoyed at her body for the ability to make her that miserable for 2 days. She's really gonna blame all of that on PMS and not Jackson, because I think she should be putting a lot of blame on Jackson. So Jackson says it's day 75. We've got 24 days left in this house. So Holly asks him, what are you thinking? Anytime somebody asks somebody else, like, what are you thinking? It makes me think of Waiting for Guffman. A penny for your thoughts. Oh, I love that movie. Anyway, Holly asked Jackson, what are you thinking? Because he was being very quiet. And Jackson's like, oh, I'm thinking whether or not you should throw the next HOH. Oh my god. Yes, please? Oh my god. Can you imagine if they throw it and then one of them goes? Because Jackson is not competing in the next HOH competition, but Holly is. And they're both thinking, well, maybe you should throw it because they feel like they're good on both sides and they want the two duos to go after each other. They think that they're all good and nobody suspects anything. So Holly's like, oh, as long as you're not planning on turning on me because I pissed you off. And Jackson says, that was on a personal level. We have to keep working together on a game level. We've got no choice. Ooh. So Holly's asking him, is that all you want? Like, for it to only be a game thing? And then she's like, never mind. I don't want to ask any questions that I don't want to hear the answer to. I don't think I can handle it right now. It was super dramatic. But Jackson's like, no, I want you to talk to me. So Holly asks him again, is that all you want to be? Is you just want to work together on a game level? And Jackson says, I don't know. Oof, okay. So he also says, like, I don't want any of this personal stuff to mess up our games. We're in a really good spot right now. Are ya? And he thinks that they can go the distance game-wise. So Holly is talking about how she's really stressed about what's going to happen to their relationship after the game. And Jackson's like, well, I'm not the one putting a ton of emphasis on the outside world. You have been from the very beginning. Here he goes. He says, I'm not being mean. I'm just being honest. It's always Holly's fault, always. So Holly's like, oh, I just wish I could take back the last 48 hours, back to like when I was so excited for you to win HOH, and we were like the strong power couple, blah, blah, blah. Holly, stop. Just get your shit together. Oh my God, you need to like dump him. Anyway, Cliff joins them and he lets them know that Tommy told him he will have his vote if he goes up as the replacement nominee this week. So Cliff also lets them know that Tommy and Nicole were talking the night before on the hammock, and apparently Tommy was suspicious that Jackson and Holly are potentially working with Cliff because he was a little bit weirded out that Jackson has really been pushing for Cliff to stay if Tommy uses the veto. So Tommy was like, that's kind of weird. Like, why does he want Cliff to stay so badly? Is there something going on there? So Cliff is saying to them, you guys do whatever you need to do to throw Tommy off our trail. You know, throw me under the bus. Say that I'm easy competition for you and that's why you want to keep me. Say whatever you need to say. I get it. It's fine. So Jackson's like, yeah, we'll do that. Absolutely. He also plans to say to Tommy, if Cliff goes, it's only going to be us two guys left, and Jess will still be in the house, and if she wins HOH, she will definitely target us. Alright, so then Holly and Nicole were chatting in the kitchen while Jackson was cooking, and Holly asks Nicole, have you talked to Tommy yet? And Nicole says, just a little bit last night. This was such a big conversation. But she says Tommy didn't really say that much. So I don't think at this point she knew that Cliff had already talked to Jackson and Holly about Nicole's conversation with Tommy. So she definitely downplayed it a lot. Definitely didn't give them many details here about how he suspects Cliff is working with Jackson and Holly. So I don't know if that's going to affect how much they trust Nicole. It doesn't seem like it is yet, and it doesn't seem like they're suspicious of Nicole maybe like starting something up with Tommy and Christy, but it was a little bit of a moment. Honestly, I think they've been really distracted the last few days with all their personal drama, and it is throwing off their games. I'm not mad about it though. So Holly says she's not sure if Tommy is going to want to use the veto, because if he does, it's really going to be showing a lot of loyalty to Christy, and they're not sure that Tommy wants to show his cards like that. So Holly says she's also worried that if Tommy does use the veto and Cliff goes up, he might campaign to get rid of Cliff, and then they're going to have to show their cards when they keep Cliff with a tiebreaker vote. So she feels like Tommy's already getting suspicious that they're working together, and this situation would just make it obvious. It's too late. Cat's out of the bag. Everybody knows. So I just feel like Holly's fear of showing her cards this late in the game is really just showing her cards to Nicole and Cliff. Like, that's a huge red flag. Why are you so afraid of people knowing that you're working together when there's only so many people left and it's couples, and you know what I mean? Like, this situation, I feel like the cards are shown, you know? So I think Nicole and Cliff should definitely be like, that's kind of weird. So Holly says if Tommy uses the veto, she's just going to act like she doesn't care who goes, and hopefully that's going to throw him off their trail. Okay. So later, I guess Jackson and Holly are okay now because they're like back to banging or whatever. Cool. Okay. So then even later, Jackson and Tommy have a game talk in the HOH. And I would not want to go in that HOH room. So Jackson is like, so what are you thinking? And Tommy says, I think I'm going to use the power veto on Christy. Duh. So he says, just in case something wonky happens, you know, I want to make sure Christy's definitely going to be safe. Jackson says, cool, that's fine. It's fine with me. I'm Mr. Cool. You know, he's really playing it off, but it's a little bit too much, I think. But he says, I don't want Christy to go anywhere anyway, so this is perfect. It's great. So Jackson says he really thinks that Cliff needs to go, but Jess needs to go first. So this is what Cliff was telling him, you know, tell Tommy that you are seeing me as a threat, but like you want Jess to go first, like throw me under the bus, whatever you gotta do. So that's what this is. So Jackson starts going through his reasons why Jess has to go first. She's gonna beat him in mental competitions. She's going after guys. He feels more comfortable competing against Nicole and Cliff than Jess. So he's got his reasons that we've already been hearing over and over and over again. So Tommy's like, just a heads up for you. I did already tell Jess that I'm probably going to be using the veto on Christy. Because Jackson was freaking out before, like, why does Jess keep giving me, like, these side-eye looks? Like, why? What's going on here? Maybe because she's realizing you're trying to get rid of her. So, Tommy's like, that could be why. You know, I told her I'm probably going to use the veto on Christy. And he says he also told Jess that this is going to give her a chance, more of a chance to stay, because somebody else will be going up in Christy's place. But he says, I was just saying that to her to make her feel better. Like, don't worry about it. So Tommy says, you know, Jess might try to make a deal with you after the power veto ceremony, and you might want to think about it. You know, it could be really good for you. So it seems like, even though Tommy has already discussed with Nicole potentially teaming up and the four of them going after Jackson and Holly, he's still trying to think like, could I potentially keep Jess this week still? So he's kind of like poking around a little bit, but he's not like pushing for it hardcore. So then Christy and Holly join them in the HOH room, and Jackson is really laying it on thick that Jess has got to go. He is afraid, especially, that Jess will beat him in Big Brother Comics. He says she's a photographer and a model, so that automatically means that she's gonna win BB Comics. What? I guess he's trying to say she's like a visual person. But Tommy and Christy both say Jess herself has said she's not gonna be good at the physical aspect of BB Comics. She's not gonna be able to hold herself up in that competition, because you know how they go on that zip line. So they're not too worried about it, but Jackson is. So then Tommy brings up again that Jess might offer him a pretty sick deal, and maybe it'll make more sense for Jackson to go another way, you know, and keep Jess. So he's saying again, if you're offered a deal, consider it, because you never know. So then they're talking about what a threat Cliff is, and Jackson keeps hammering it home that Jess has to go before Cliff. We heard you the first 50 times. So then Cliff joins them, breaks up the conversation, and after Tommy and Christy leave the room, Jackson and Holly fill in Cliff on that conversation. So they're like, yeah, we were throwing you under the bus and saying you're a threat, but don't worry, it's just like we talked about, it's just to keep our 4 under wraps. And they're like, oh my god, Tommy and Christy are buying it, like they don't know that we're working together. So they're reassuring Cliff, you're not going anywhere this week. You've got the votes locked in already. It's all good. So just remember too, you only need 2 votes and then the HOH to break a tie. Okay. So then Christy and Cliff were chatting out by the hammock. And Christy says, just so you know, Tommy told me he's probably going to use the veto on me. And Cliff says, I know, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be the replacement nominee, because Jackson told him, and he volunteered. He didn't say that part. But Christy's like, it's all good. She promises to vote to keep Cliff this week. So Christy says, that's all fine and dandy, but I'm worried about the next coming weeks. She says, I might be shooting myself in the foot by saying this right now, and I might be wrong, but I'm under the impression that Jackson thinks he's working with everyone at this point. And Cliff says, yeah, I've felt that way for a long time. So Christy says Jackson thinks he has her, but he is still the biggest threat to her in this game. And she says she's not taking the bait from him. She does not want to go to the end with Jackson. I don't think anybody really does, except for maybe Holly. I don't know. But Cliff says, yeah, I see the writing on the wall. I'm not playing for 8th or 6th or 3rd. So Christy says, I had that deal with Jackson and Holly so that I could stay that 1 week, but that's a wash now. My contract is null and void. She says she does not owe them anything. Holly was going to put her up last week as a pawn. Jackson put her up this time. He's already put her up twice now. So she says, if I win HOH, something needs to be done. Woo! Christy for HOH. So Christy says, we'll speak about this more in the next few days. I'm excited for that. And then Jess comes out and this conversation ends. Okay, so then last night, Jackson and Holly talked again about Holly throwing the next HOH, and she seems to agree. That would be so beautiful if she did throw it and then Jackson was evicted. I feel like they're gonna go into it wanting her to throw it, but then when they see that it's a double eviction, they're probably gonna change their minds and she's not gonna throw it. But even so, it's gonna be like, how many people are left? What, like 4 versus 1 in that HOH competition? So she might just like lose. There's a good chance that she'll lose. So then today, they had the power veto ceremony, and Tommy used the power veto on Christy, as expected, right? And then Jackson put up Cliff in her place, which means it's Cliff versus Jess on the block, and as of right now, Jess is going, and it would be unanimous if they were voting today. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if Tommy and Christy put in any more effort to try and keep Jess this week and get rid of Cliff, or if they're just gonna, you know, cut their losses there and just work on making sure they're solid with Nicole and Cliff going into this next week so that the 4 of them can go after Jackson and Holly. So we'll see what happens. But again, Holly and Jackson are freaking clueless right now and thinking nobody suspects that they're working with everybody. So Holly, the genius, is like, okay, I'm gonna work on organizing a talent show today and get everybody involved in it so that they don't have any time to think about what's happening and to see what we're doing. Okay, so I'm not sure when the talent show is, but coming this week, sometime this week. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about all this. I hope you're all having a fun and safe Labor Day, and everybody in the path of Hurricane Dorian, we are thinking of you and we hope you're staying safe as well. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments, and until tomorrow, much love.